1990 World Champion Cincinnati Reds.
Yes, it is 14 long years. And even this rain can't put a damper on the excitement, as you can tell. It is very, very exciting down here on Fountain Square.
And when you're hearing everybody yelling sweep, and at the beginning everybody thought that the Oakland A's would be sweeping out Cincinnati Reds, but boy did they have that wrong. We fooled the world.
There was a sweep, but this time it was the Reds sweeping the A's. Here's how Marty Brenneman, the Reds radio announcer, made the call Saturday night when the Reds became the 1990 World Champions.
Benzinger backing and calling, and the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. As you might expect, they pile out of the dugout.
And when the Reds got back last night, there was a huge crowd waiting for them to welcome them at the airport.
And News 5 Steve Forrest was there along with them as the fans had a real reason to party. As you might imagine, Fountain Square was packed like it is now when we won the World Champions Saturday night. It was an unofficial party, but it was a party.
And the party didn't just stay here on the square. People filled downtown streets, honking their horns, whooping it up, screaming and yelling that we were indeed the world champions. News 5's Monica Abler takes us back to Saturday night's incredible excitement.
And the excitement has not died down since then. People are on Fountain Square. It's raining. They don't care. They're having a good time.
Now, the sweep of the Reds, the Reds sweeping Oakland, that is, nobody really expected that. We here were kind of kidding around about it, said the Reds are good enough to do that. But no one really expected the awesome manner in which the Reds just annihilated Oakland.
Well, we said it the other night, Jerry, in Oakland. The Reds beat the A's exactly in the way that the A's were expected to sweep the Reds. They did it with pitching, they did it with hitting, defense, all those things that make up a great baseball team. But still, after 3 days of letting this soak in, people are still scratching their heads saying, I can't believe it. Well, it happened. George Vogel is here to show us how the Reds proved they are the very best in baseball. All in all, it was an incredible display of baseball by a great team. And it's laughable that the A's could say we're a better team. It's laughable. They played them 4 up. They got beat fair and square, just like George said.
They beat them in every element of the game. They won the close ones, and they won the runaways.
Yes, they did.
Built them real good.
It is absolutely fantastic. And I'll tell you what, we were going to wonder what the weather was going to do, but I do believe, I'm not a weatherman, but I think it's going to rain. What do you think?
You're not even a man. Forget the weather.
Right. But it is kind of wet out here right now.
It is, but you know what? Even despite the fact that it's raining, and we're going to hear more about it, it has not lessened the crowd here. As far as I can see, the Fountain Square is absolutely packed. More people are streaming from behind the cameras coming here. And who knows more about weather than Pat Berry? Pat, how you doing?
I tell you what, I don't think that anybody care if it's raining or not. They don't care at all. What was really good was the fact that we had a problem with some weather during the playoff games, maybe some rain during the World Series. It all stayed away, and it was perfect games. I don't think anybody minds. But it is raining right now, obviously. If you're watching it at home, you can see the West Shots radar will indicate the rain that's moving in and around the tri-state right now. Some of it is that steady rain. This is the worst it's going to be. It's going to taper off to drizzle. I don't think it's going to make anybody, It's just an absolutely terrific day.
And you know what? In Oakland right now, it's probably pretty sunny. But who cares?
I'm going to go down to the parade route, and we'll be fighting the players and talking to them, all right? See you later. Good job. Stay dry.
You too. And we'll be right back with more from Fountain Square right after this. As we said, even the rain can't put a damper on this, but there is one, I don't know, kind of down part of this. Eric Davis is in the hospital with an injury he received in the last game of the World Series.
Yeah, in the first inning, you remember he made that diving attempt at a catch in the first inning, and he hurt his kidney.
Right. What happened, as Mike Lahan explained it, and Larry Starr and others, he outstretched for the ball, and then his elbow was driven into his kidney. And the frightening thing about it was it took him so long to get up. And then, after the inning was over, when they tried to take him out of the dugout in for x-rays and tests, he almost fell down. And it was a very frightening moment. Anytime this happens, then let's not forget Billy Hatcher. Had Hatcher not put his hand up, he might have taken one in the face.
That's right. Now, with Eric Davis, he was taken to the hospital, Merritt Hospital, out in Oakland, California. He's to be there, as I understand it, 3 to 7 days. to get a later update on exactly how Eric is doing, we're going to go out now to Oakland, where Len Matusik is standing by. Len, what's the latest you've heard? Well, it isn't the same celebration here without him. Let's face it, he was considered the leader throughout the year. Even when he was struggling at the plate, the other players looked to Eric Davis for the inspiration. And you remember that the first inning of the first game of the World Series, when Eric hit that 420-foot drive into the center field seats, that kind of set the tone that, hey, the A's are human after all. The Reds could beat them.
Well, you know, Jerry, I think one of the interesting things about it was that throughout the season, Eric took an awful lot of grief from an awful lot of people about his performance. But it was late in the year, during the playoffs, in fact, when the players themselves said, this man has guided us, he's led us by his inspiration, going out hurt, going out not feeling well, and playing well. And you can't fault what he did in left field most of the season with a bad knee. And we don't know really how bad that knee is.
And I think it's fair to sum it up that this celebration here at Fountain Square wouldn't be taking place if we didn't have an Eric Davis.
Very indicative that they did win with him on the bench, because it was, after all, a team all season, and we heard that and heard it, and never was it more appropriate.
Len, is there any word yet? Len, on when Eric Davis will be getting out?
Well, I talked with Andrea Edge. She's the director of marketing this morning, about a half an hour ago, and Eric's condition hasn't really changed. Severely bruised kidney. He's going to be here at the hospital for 5 to 7 days, roughly. The doctors were on their way as we went on today to check him this morning. We hope that maybe as the day goes on that we get a chance to either talk to the doctor directly, or possibly, if Eric's up to it, get a chance to speak to him. But I don't know how possible that is at this particular time. So, you know, he's still in ICU, and he's still being monitored very closely.
Okay, our thoughts are with him, from Cincinnati to Eric Davis. You know, he was an inspiration to a lot of people during the game. It was a very exciting series because of Eric.
And during the course of the week, obviously, we'll continue to pass along to you the condition of Eric Davis, and we hope he gets home as soon as possible. Okay, we are going to be, in a little while, they're getting ready with the parade. We're going to be talking to Pat Berry, who's job...
The parade route. You know, the rain is kind of causing some problems for the parade, I believe, but, you know, it's not exactly going to stop
I tell you what, if we can't go to the parade, we bring the parade to us, or at least Pat Berry we do.
Here's the information I just got from the Cincinnati police. Because of the rain and the steady rain, they're not going to be able to put the players in convertibles like they originally planned. They're going to put the players in a couple of buses and drive the parade route. I guess the guys will stick their face pressed up against the glass. You'll be able to see them when they come by. And then Marge and Lou are coming down in private cars in a different route. They're all going to come over here and walk up the stage. We'll be able to see them doing that and see the players leaving the bus. But there's not going to be, unfortunately, because of this darn rain coming down right now, there won't be that traditional convertible parade. We don't have ticker tape, so maybe it doesn't make any difference anyhow.
That's okay. Right now, the fans just want to be here, not so much even to see the guys in the convertibles, but really just to let the players know, hey, thanks a lot for giving us a great year.
And the celebration, it's been 14 years, you know, we deserve to celebrate no matter what the weather is.
You know, the last time we were in the World Series, we swept also. The Reds don't know how to lose a World Series game.
That's right, you were just saying they hadn't lost a World Series game since 1975.
When the Red Sox played them, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry it's raining, but there's nothing we can do about it. It didn't rain during the games.
That was very
I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. I'm sorry it's raining.
Okay, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break now. We're going to be back with more coverage of the parade and the rally, welcoming the Cincinnati Reds, world champions of baseball.
Yeah.
Well, it is an exciting day out here on Fountain Square. Even if it is raining, we're still going to have a good time with the celebration for the 1990 world champion Reds.
And every World Series, it seems, has its little sidebars to it. It's little stories that aren't on the baseball field, but off, but are just as heart-rendering. And I guess one had to do with Tom Browning.
You know, Tom Browning was at the ballpark, and they told him to, you know, go ahead, your wife's having a baby, go ahead and leave. And then all of a sudden it's, wait a minute, come back, come back. Here's the story of Tom Browning and little Tucker.
You bet it will one day. One day it'll mean an awful lot, and right now it means an awful lot to all the fans here, and obviously also to Tom Browning and his whole family. You know, baseball is a game of superstition. Players believe that if they just follow a particular routine, maybe wearing the same socks, or Ron Oster during the season shaved his head, if they do something, it works. Well, for Jose Rio, he believes that the key to his arm is his stomach. Every time before he pitches, he goes and gets a certain kind of a meal.
Well, you know, Jose was the most valuable player. I guess you had the most valuable meal. This is Bruce Campanello, and that's where he heads every time before he plays in the ballpark, right?
Right.
So what does he eat that does it? What is in the lasagna that is just perfect that makes it work?
Good luck. As well as skill, I guess.
Does he talk a lot when he's there before the game?
Yeah, he's a nice, down-to-earth guy. We couldn't meet a nicer guy.
And it is kind of superstitious.
And his wife, too.
Yeah. They bring the whole family in there. It's like a big table. It's a big spread. Are you nervous?
Too.
Are you nervous when they come in?
Yeah.
Does he leave a big tip?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I would
Okay,
say.
because we'll get on his case if he doesn't.
He's about to leave a bigger tip, I have a feeling, for the meal. Now, did you have to fly something out to Oakland for him, or did you pack it up?
That was just, my brother Anthony came up with the idea of sending some out there, so we just kind of jumped on it, and Federal Express got in on it, and everybody was just real cooperative. Even out there at that Park 55 hotel.
Yeah.
The chef out there agreed to do it and everything, so it's great.
Well, the recipe seems to work. So thanks to you filling his
Thank you,
stomach,
folks.
his arm was able to give us a world championship.
Okay.
Bruce, thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks a lot, Bruce, and not bad for a cook. Well, you ought to, maybe before the newscast, we could get like
would it work?
maybe a commentary.
Close on Monday.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bruce. You know, meals do mean a lot to the players. Like some of them try to eat spaghetti, they try to eat carbohydrates. But maybe it works. Maybe it had something to do with it, and they certainly proved it in this World Series.
They also need an inspiration. Sometimes the inspiration comes from what they eat, and sometimes it comes from music.
Right.
Well, this World Series in Cincinnati will be remembered for the theme song which inspired the Reds, You Can't Touch This. Let's hear it.
Can't touch this. Can't touch this. I can't touch this. Can't touch this.
You
Hammer
can't,
time.
yeah, you can't touch this. The Oakland A's certainly couldn't touch this. But as we said earlier, you know, part of this celebration is because we had one incredibly inspirational and great player, Eric Davis. And here's Tony Schultz with a Get Well, Eric, We Miss You, number 44. Tony's one of the thousands that are down here on Fountain Square with rain gear, some with umbrellas, all ready to bring home the Cincinnati Reds, world champions of baseball. The year is 1990. It is now. We're champs.
We're excited about it, and we'll be right back with more from Fountain Square right after this.
Obviously, when the Reds go to the World Series, it does great things for our town. Mostly it does things in terms of spirit. Everybody feels good about this community. It's also a great sales technique for the rest of the country. It puts Cincinnati on the map in a very positive way. But it's more than just inspiration. Going to the World Series also means a lot of dollars for our community. At one point, we estimated $40 million for the city of Cincinnati if it went to a 7-game series. Well, the Reds were too good for that. We wiped out the Oakland A's in only 4 games, so we probably made in the area of about $30 million. At least those are the estimates. The fellow that knows the most about this, of course, is the mayor of our fine city, Charlie Luken. And Charlie, you got to be feeling great.
Hey, I've never seen people in Cincinnati have so much fun for the past several years. They're having a great time, and it's good for everybody. It's good for the city.
How did we do economically?
Well, they think it's between 35 and 40 million bucks, Jerry, but we get so much advertising. I mean, how many times were we on national TV at the Skyline? How many people are talking about Cincinnati? You couldn't buy that kind of publicity, so we're riding high today.
And this is going to mean a lot in the future, too. We got businesses that start thinking a little bit more about Cincinnati, and maybe we're going to locate there. Hey, they got a great team.
Yeah, and I hope it makes people think a little bit about how important these professional sports teams are to Cincinnati, because, boy, we just couldn't get this kind of attention without them.
Have you noticed that, because you were mayor also when we went to the Super Bowl, have you noticed what is the difference between the town in the World Series and the town with the Super Bowl?
Well, we won. No, I think the sentiments would have been the same had we won, but I mean, we have a new symbol of civic pride down here today, a broom. I mean, who would have ever thought?
A red broom,
and people are having such a good time. There was not this kind of enthusiasm for the Super Bowl, but that's, I think, because we won.
And it was played, you know, it was mostly played here.
And people got to feel it a little bit more.
Does something like this directly translate into the city budget? I mean, we talk about the overall economy.
No, it really doesn't, Jerry, but I'll tell you, over the long term, you can't measure it because, as Norma said, you don't know how many businesses are going to take a second look at Cincinnati. You don't know how many people are going to locate here, feel better about Cincinnati as a result of this kind of thing. So it's got a big, big impact on all of us.
And it is an exciting time for the city, too. I mean, if you could have done something about the rain, Charlie would have felt just a little bit better about it.
I let you down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's okay. So did Pat, so don't worry about it.
What's next in terms of making sure that the Bengals win?
Well, we're going to start that tonight. I mean, isn't it nice in Cincinnati? I mean, we're going to have this today, and then we're going to have a Bengals-Browns game this evening.
And you thought being mayor was tough,
yeah,
huh? This is a piece of cake. They don't know.
I think we have as much fun as we ever have in the last few years. It's great.
All right. Thanks a lot, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
It's a lot of fun. You know, the sweep has Cincinnati is buying up just about everything they can. There's T-shirts, there's hats, as you can tell. Now there's probably going to be umbrellas and, of course, the red brooms. But over at Cook's Sporting Goods, customers were waiting at the door to buy souvenirs. They were describing businesses as unbelievably heavy. At the Reds gift shop in the Hyatt Regency, stuff is also selling off the shelves, with fans buying whatever they can just to remember this season. And at the Velvet Sheen plant in Fairfax, workers are turning out sweatshirts and T-shirts as fast as they can. We're told that before the end of the week, more than 120,000 shirts will have been printed. 120,000 shirts. So where's yours and mine, right? We've got red on at least, though.
We got red on it. We probably got about 10 in the car, in the truck, and at home. And they're selling everything they're making because right now this is the one business in town that everybody shares in. I mean, if Procter & Gamble has a good year, you don't get a rally on Fountain Square.
Nobody starts wearing ivory soap T-shirts, but red T-shirts.
Professional sports is the one business that everybody gets to share in the glory of the victory. And this is great for community spirit. You know, before we were talking to the mayor about what it means in dollars and cents. It's immeasurable what it means to making people feel good about the town they live in. And this is a great place to live. Now the national media knows it, though you wouldn't have thought so listening to some of those broadcasts.
Yeah, the broadcasters were, you know, well, they were giving the A's this excuse and the A's that excuse, and maybe I'm a homer, but I thought that there was just a little prejudice to the other side, and what the heck, we showed them, and we showed them in style. 4 straight games, and the A's are out of there.
Okay, we're going to be taking a break, and we'll be coming back with more of this incredible celebration for the world champion Cincinnati Reds. We'll be right back. Well, the rain's here, but so are the fans. They are not being kept away by the rainfall. It is a sea of umbrellas, and more people are coming. It's getting to be the lunch hour now, and they're coming on the second level of Skywalks. Everywhere we look, we're seeing
packed. I'm looking out here through the umbrellas, and the streets are packed. They got the streets closed off. This is a celebration for a world champion baseball team, and it's exciting. But right now, we're going to go back to the studio where Toria and Steve are with the news of the day. Toria, Steve?
We are back here on Fountain Square, and in the background you can hear the tape recording of Marty Brenneman bringing you the highlights of this
exciting series that we had with the Cincinnati Reds. It is an exciting time. This is what it's all about. No, he's fine. Come here. This is what it's all about.
What's your name?
What's your name? And did you get to see the Reds play?
Yeah.
Are you excited? Who's your favorite player?
Chris Sabo.
Chris Sabo.
And what's the cheer they always give when Sabo's up at bat? Sabo. Sabo. All right.
You know, there are people with banners out here.
Oh, let's get the people in the banner. Hey, sweet.
Hold the banner up.
Okay, we're going to show you some people. People brought down signs here. And can you get the picture there? It says, we've been around the world from Pittsburgh to the Bay. We swept the Oakland A's. And this is what they say. Can't touch it.
Now that banner's upside down. The Cincinnati Reds banner.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I mean,
we talk the whole world upside down. Why shouldn't the banners be? The fans starting to yell sweep. Everybody's kind of getting into it. More people down here on the square than along the parade route at this time.
That's
obviously because of the weather.
Well, the parade isn't really going to go off like it was intended to, I suppose.
It was supposed to be an open
ticker tape kind of parade. Yeah, not ticker tape, but you know, the same kind of parade. Everybody was going to be in convertibles. Well, at this point, they'd have gotten very, very wet. We don't want to get our players wet that won the 1990 World Champions, so they're going to arrive in a bus. Marty and Lou, not Marty and Lou, Marge and Lou are going to listen to Marty in the background. background here. March and Lou are going to be coming up, and I'm sure Shotzi will be along, probably in a raincoat, and they're going to come up from another angle. So we're going to have that for you. We're going to get it just as soon as we can. But right now, let's head out to Pat Barry.
Pat, tell me, what is the situation where you are?
Well, the situation right now is George Vogel and I are standing here right on Vine Street. Believe it or not, we're right on the other side of you, but you can't see us from the all the crowd. What a crowd, huh,
Yeah,
George?
nice crowd out here, regardless of the rain. You know, one of the fans stopped me and said, this didn't rain, this is all the tears from Oakland.
Hey!
To which I said, it should be raining harder in that case.
I like it. The police have now stopped the traffic. The buses are now moving on 4th Street. They'll be making a right up Vine Street and stopping right here at Fountain Square. Marge and Lou are coming in separate cars, and they'll stop here too. And what we're going to try and attempt to do is talk to some of the guys as they get out of the bus. That's the situation down here. The street is absolutely closed off. It's got lots of people. Take a look. We got these guys behind us who I think should be in school right now, don't you think?
They look about school age to me, but we'll let them off for this.
George, 14 years ago, you were still in school. Did you take the day off?
I took several days off. What are you talking about? About a week.
Well, I'm out here with Lonesome George. He's not lonesome today. We'll give you all the parade action, and we'll talk to the players, hopefully, as they disembark the bus in just a little bit. Jerry, Norma, back to you.
Oh. Well, they're back to us now. I'm just cleaning my glasses is what I'm doing. Out from tears from the rain.
Such a meaningful
I feel so sorry for Oakland.
Yeah,
You're right.
so sorry for Oakland. Here's the Reds fan. Why don't you pop up here? Come on. Did you get to see any of the games?
Yes.
Which one did you see?
All the World Series games.
You saw them all. What was your favorite part?
The part of the end where they caught the foul ball. Benzinger caught the foul ball.
That was the last play of the last game, right?
Yes.
And that was the winning play.
Yes.
Who's your favorite player?
Jose Rio.
Jose Rio. Well, he was the most valuable player. So, what's your name?
Stephen Bledsoe.
Well, Stephen, thanks. Nice for stopping by. You look like you're decked out pretty well in all your red stuff. And now the things are starting on Fountain Square.
Yeah, what you're hearing behind us on Fountain Square is a radio talk show host, Bill Cunningham, not a shy fellow of any sort.
And he doesn't need a microphone, so he just yells real loud and you can hear him.
He's getting the crowd going, saying that the weather is nice in Oakland, but he'd rather be here in Cincinnati with the rain, and of course, who wouldn't be with this World Championship?
And we're going to be right back with more from Fountain Square right after this.
Well, the crowd here was going crazy as Bill Cunningham was exhorting them with some kind of poetry which said how great the Reds were.
Is that what you call a poetry?
Well, whatever. As happy as the Reds are, no one is as happy as Marge Schott.
And we're going to go out to Pat Barry, who has Marge Schott with him. Pat?
Yes, Marge, how do you feel?
I don't know. It hasn't sunk in. This is what it's all about. The fans here. This is what it's all about.
Isn't this the greatest?
This is the greatest. This is who it's for. Is the fans.
Has it sunk in yet?
Not really.
No?
No, not really.
What's the first thing you're going to do after you get the ring, Marge?
Wear it. Thanks, sweetie.
All right, Marge. Thank you very much. Marge Schott with Shotzi. She's going to be getting up to the podium here. The crowd is going crazy. We expect Lou Piniella coming up, and then the buses with the players on them. We'll let you know, Jerry, as soon as we see them. Back to you.
Well, I tell you what, obviously Marge Schott, the First Lady of Cincinnati, this is something she has dreamt for years, certainly ever since she took over the Cincinnati Reds. And
she was tired of being a bridesmaid. It was time to win, and they did. Lou Piniella and the team, and everybody did.
We'll be talking with more of the stars a little later on. I tell you what, the crowd now is with one finger pointed in the air saying we're number one, waving with the music. I'll tell you, I don't see how they're going to be able to see anything with all the umbrellas here, but it doesn't much matter.
They're probably not going to be able to see anything, but it's the whole excitement. It's the feel of what's going on. We're now hearing in the background, "We are the champions of the world." It's a wonderful song and very appropriate for what's going on right now.
Now, one fellow who has been a part of baseball folklore for well over 1 or 2 generations is Joe Garagiola. He was not the greatest of ball players, but he became real prominent, and now, of course, you can see him every morning on the Today Show. Joe Garagiola has some views, as he's been in town with the Cincinnati Reds, some views on how great this destiny is.
I mean, I'm going to get it in the end, so what's the difference?
That's an exciting interview. You know, Joe Garagiola, you were talking to him at the ballpark, the first game of the World Series. He said he thought Cincinnati was going to win. You look like you're crying, but actually he's not. It's rain.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I'm here with this one. Thanks. Oh, I'm getting so excited. Anyway, yes, Marge said before that this is all for the fans. Well, Pat Barry is with those fans for whom it's for.
Well, I'm here with George Vogel. Thank you very much, Jerry. I'm here with George Vogel, and we're just waiting. Have you seen a bus yet, George?
No buses or anything yet. I think we're expecting Lou Piniella next. next. I think he's going to pull up in one of the fine automobiles they're dropping the people off in, and then the players should be right behind him.
Yeah, you're right. And Marge seemed like she was in a daze. I'm sure she hasn't gotten a lot of sleep, and she's been doing a lot of things. Wonder when it's going to finally sink in. Maybe a week or so before she really sinks in.
It may take that long. It's going to be interesting to see what she says to these fans. She's been preaching the fans this and the fans that ever since she took over this club. Today she gets a chance to go directly to them and talk, and it's going to be fun to hear what she has to say.
I listened to radio. I was listening to him talk on WLW this morning. And, well, is that a bus? I was listening to WLW radio. Already they're talking about next year. So that should be interesting.
It's going to be a tough act.
Why don't you see if that's Lou? I'm going to talk to some fans. Greg, follow me over here. We're going to talk. Who are you? I'm trying to find. What's your name?
Stephanie.
Do you have a job?
Yes.
How'd you get out of work?
I work tonight.
Oh, you work tonight. Where's that?
Good Sam Hospital.
Oh, well, good. Say hello to people at Good Sam. And you are?
Jane House.
And where do you work?
I go to UC.
And don't you have classes today?
Not right now, I don't. I kind of skipped them. This is more important.
You have classes. Great. Who are you?
I'm Tiffany.
And where do you live?
Good Sam.
Did you work at Good Sam?
Yeah, I work.
Were you supposed to work today?
Nope.
We're not getting you in trouble then, huh?
Nah.
All right. That's why people are down there, and they're having a great time. They're pumped up. We've got the corridor open, and just take a look at that. You can see the fans all the way up that they're packed up there. George, this is exciting, isn't it?
It is. No Lou Pinella yet. The cheers was for one of the policemen on a horse. I guess it was a very pretty horse.
Okay. They're cheering the cops on horses. Jerry, Norma, back to you. We'll let you know when Lou and the players get here.
All right, we're back on Fountain Square, and we've got Marge Shaw on the podium with the trophy.
Just seconds before she was holding the trophy above her head. Maybe you can see it there. There it is, the World Championship trophy. Boy, how hard and long they worked for that. The crowd went into a spontaneous roar when Marge walked up there carrying it over her head. I tell you what, next to leading Shotzi, I don't think there's anything else Marge would rather hold than a World Championship trophy. How about that, huh?
I'll buy that.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, that's a lot more expensive than Shotzi.
Yeah.
You can imagine kind of salary she's been putting out for a great, great team. And maybe we ought to be saying something about that. The truth is, Marge Schott has put out the money for whatever player that was necessary to bring to the Reds. She never said, I'm not going to spend money.
Absolutely the case, dating back to 1984. I mean, and 85 when she took over the team. I mean, she has every time someone, whether it be Pete Rose, Lou Pinella, Bob Quinn, Murray Cook, Bill Burgess, on down the line, if her baseball people told her she needed that player, she put it out. She put it out. You can't criticize her for that.
She really wanted a winner, and she was willing to go out and do whatever it took.
And she said it in every opportunity, and she did that. And the interesting thing about it is this year the additions were made bang, bang, and we saw what they did. Mariano Duncan came in last year in the winter for the Leary trade, and then Billy Hatcher, and that was a trade that everybody criticized because they said this team needs thump. Yeah. They didn't need thump. They got that from Sabo, but they did need a spark like Billy Hatcher gave them.
And how about hats off and congratulations to Bob Quinn for the job as general manager. You don't hear much about him, but boy, did he put together the trade.
You all know I've said it over and again. I mean, this guy is Major League Baseball Executive of the Year. How can you argue with that?
Well, you know what the other thing is? Bob Quinn wore that same jacket every game, so I think he can get it clean now. What do you think?
Oh, I would say that he can get it clean. But you know, the story of that is remarkable. I mean, the grandfather, father, and he had one item from each. I forget exactly what they were. You know, one other thing about it is, and again, I harped on this all season long, did this team have the character, the heart to win? And when it came right down to it, they showed us all. Are we coming back on this?
Great video. Their mics. Greg wants it hot.
You know, one of the things that I was just told about that I found really, really touching was that before the team left Oakland yesterday, Larry Starr and Ron Oster and Mike Lahan went over to see Eric Davis at Merritt Hospital. They took him his World Championship hat. And when they gave it to him, Larry leaned over to hug Eric. And Eric clutched him and held him and was in tears. It was his last connection with the team. He wanted to be there so bad. Larry told his brother, I really think that not being there at that moment hurt him more than the injury.
Well, everyone here realizes there's not a player on that team that doesn't realize that there wouldn't be this parade, there wouldn't be this celebration if they didn't have the leadership of Eric Davis.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take a look now at pictures of the parade that is now in progress. We could, from here, from our vantage point, we hear the drums and the band fans.
Starting to go.
And you are looking at pictures, I trust, of the parade as it is going on.
Not exactly the parade that was originally planned for the homecoming for the world champion, but it is a parade nonetheless.
This is Glen Estee High School that we're watching right now, and this must be a thrill for the kids from that school. They'll always remember their greatest thrill was that they got to march in the World Championship Parade. A lot of fans watching on both sides as the Glen Estee Marching High School Band makes its appearance.
One of the things that fascinates me is the number of children here. I was talking to a couple of parents, and they said, hey, take a day off because this is history.
I'm sorry you said that because I had this discussion with my daughter this morning.
No.
Yeah, and I said, Katie, you got to go to school today, so don't tell her that there weren't any kids here, okay?
Oh, there's only thousands here.
Okay, there are now people marching in the parade carrying brooms, recognizing, of course, the wonderful sweep that has become, in the last 3 days, tradition here in Cincinnati now, the sweep of the Oakland A's.
Nobody thought it would happen. You thought it would happen.
I did, but I was joking. I thought the Reds would win in 6 is what I honestly thought. But no, I didn't believe they'd get the sweep.
I don't think anybody really believed it was going to be a sweep. I think there are a lot of people saying, yeah, the Reds are going to win it, maybe in 5, maybe in 6, it may take 7, but...
After the sweep, now get this, Rosie Rio, we're talking about this, and I said, you know, I'm taking an awful lot of grief from people because I said this was going to be a tough series, and I thought maybe the A's would win it. She said, look, I didn't think the A's would win it, but I agreed with you. I never, ever thought that this was going to be a sweep. Yeah. None of us did.
None of us did, but I tell you what, we've just been watching, as we've been talking, picture of Fountain Square. Maybe we can get another quick picture of the square. You can see...
Sea of umbrellas, a sea of people, a lot of red.
And now we're going to take a look at Luken. And if he isn't manager of the year, you know, what a performance. Yeah, he comes over to a new league. People said, well, he wouldn't know how to work when he doesn't have the designated hitter. His wife is with Lou, and I remember when they won the division. They clinched the division. That walk, Greg, that you were kind of talking about down in the clubhouse. He and his wife were walking down the emotional strain of finally a great year.
And you know what? He never let up, though, through the playoffs, through the series. And the interesting thing about it was that he said day one, and he would say it very quietly. You got the sense nothing would please him but to win. He didn't say what, but in his heart, you got the feeling it meant win it all.
Win it all.
And Bob Quinn, as we can see, is also with Lou Canella. And as Greg was saying just before, a family tradition, 40 years in Major League Baseball. And here Bob gets it on his first try with the Cincinnati Reds.
And two guys, basically, that couldn't do it with the Yankees, came here, boom, and they do it.
Yeah, we got Tony Perez now, and he's along. He was a big red machine man himself, Tony was. The big dog, as they say.
Big dog, man.
Yeah, nobody does a better impression of Tony Perez than Greg Lawrence.
Yeah, no, I've been working on it for so many years. See the ball, hit the ball, that's all I've been doing.
Yeah, and that's about all you know how to react. Okay, Tony Perez, what a thrill it must be for him. One of the links, of course, to the big red machine of the mid-'70s. But I tell you, we talked to him after the game Saturday night, and he was very quick to say that this team has its own identity, its own greatness, and it will be heard from in years in the future.
As it should be. Yes. And another one of the very surprising things out in Oakland was that Dave Stewart's comment, and how ridiculous. I view this man as very reasonable. He says, we'll be back next year. I don't know about them. I think you can guarantee it.
Right now we're taking a look at Joe Nuxall, Reds radio announcer, good pitcher. He was the youngest pitcher in the major leagues.
Yes, yep.
And,
during the war year.
And now he's got to...
The old left-hander rounding third.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if we can get a picture now of the... Can we go to the podium? Because the crowd is starting to go wild. Lou Piniella has taken the stage, and they were screaming Lulu just seconds ago. So are we now looking at the... and they're holding Eric... They're holding Eric Davis's shirt. I'll tell you, if you forgive me for a second here, I'm going to climb up so I can see what their fans are seeing. Oh, I can't do this. Someone grab me to give me that mic.
Get a stick.
Okay, the Reds are mounting the platform now. Somebody give me a stick mic, please. I'll tell you what, I'll hold this. This is live television, so stick with us. I got a stick mic now? Okay, thanks a lot. Sorry. Okay, and there goes... The Reds are now mounting the podium. The crowd is going wild. Marge Schott shaking hands with everyone who comes up there. The fans are waving.
We are the champion.
We are the champion. The fans are waving their brooms. What a moment for these Cincinnati Reds. I see Joe Nuxall up there.
There are brooms waving around. Even though they said you're not supposed to have a broom on Fountain Square, there are brooms on Fountain Square. Waving in the air, people on people's shoulders. Crowd is excited.
I can see Rob Dibble and Paul O'Neill. I tell you what, you know how you say you can't tell a player without a scorecard? Well, they're not wearing numbers, so from this distance, it's hard to tell.
I bet I can tell, Jerry. Give me.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who we're looking at. Tony Perez is up there and wearing an old-style Reds hat. They wore that hat back when Tony first came up with the Reds, the white hat with the red stripes. And Paul O'Neill is holding his child up there. I'm not sure his kid can really take in what it's all about, but they'll keep the tape and they'll savor the moment.
I don't know if you can see, there are people even in the trees around the top.
Jeff Reed is up there. What a role he played. Maybe a better.
We're here with Jose Real. How do you feel, Jose? That's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Have you got any rest? No, I don't need it now. Good for you. Congratulations. World Series MVP, Jose Real.
Seeing you in 1991. Thank you very much.
Yes, we are definitely going to be back here next year, I think.
And to think that we're only 4 months away from having the pitchers report at spring training. World champion Cincinnati Reds. A great celebration here. Fans obviously supportive of all the players. A poignant moment when everyone started chanting Eric, Eric, Eric. Throughout the year, if we're honest, oftentimes when things didn't go well for Eric, the fans kind of turned on him from time to time. But I think by the end of the year, everybody got to appreciate what a great player he's been and an inspiration to this team. We all hope he gets better fast.
And we're going to be back with more from Fountain Square right after this. Showing exactly what kind of feeling this whole city has for Eric Davis now.
This has been a moment we have waited for. We've said it so many times for 14 years. How many cities in America are lucky enough, one, to have professional sports franchises, and then to have such great success? We've had success over the years, really since the 1960s, with success with the Reds in 1961, and then, of course, the great teams of the 70s, 70 and 72 against Oakland, and 75 and 76. And then with the Bengals, the great success they brought our community. So we are very fortunate not just to have a major league franchise, but to have one with the great kind of success that permits a Marge Schott, one of two women owners in professional baseball, to hold up a trophy above her head which says, "We are the champions of the world."
It's nice to see how the fans came out. Yes, it's raining. Yes, it's a miserable day. It's a bit chilly out here. The square was packed. Everywhere around the square was packed. The streets coming into Fountain Square was absolutely packed with people, just to show the kind of thanks that we have for this team, what they've done for our city and what they've done for us.
And thanks to some remarkable athletes, it's going to be a lot. Whoa! Sorry, Greg. Greg does sports better than he holds umbrellas. Okay. I think people now are getting ready to leave the square and able to go around the town now saying, "I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, world champion."
And one thing I think a lot of them are going to be saying is echoing what was said up here, that this might be the first of many to come.
It is so loud, I'm having trouble hearing. But they are rapping on the square now, up on the podium. If we can take a look at the podium, the guys are up there. They are rapping. Let's take a listen. You know, when police officers don't go to work, they call in the next day and say they had the blue flu. Well, tomorrow when the kids go back to school with notes, a lot of them are going to have the Reds flu.
Red fever,
man. Red fever. They are all worked up here. I wasn't here in 75 and 76, and it's great to see this city react like this.
There was the same kind of celebration in 75 and 76, but at that point, we had Hall of Famers, and we knew we had Hall of Famers, and there was the expectation that the Reds would, in fact, win. What makes this so sweet is that who in the beginning of this year ever would have thought that it'd be wire to wire? Oh, well. On that note, we're going back to the studio for the real world.
Out About the same time that the rally on Fountain Square got started, and as we can see, it's still going on, right, Norma, Jerry, Greg?
That is it from Studio B.
Still going on. There are people packing the square still. Celebration at the podium is over, but nobody wants to leave. Even if it is raining, they still want to stay and celebrate a world champion team.
We're now getting into what we call the spontaneous celebration. This isn't organized. This is just everybody screaming as loudly as they can. They're loving the Reds. People are starting to form around the streets of downtown now, partying, and I guess nobody's going back to work. Nobody's going back to school. How many times do we get to be world champions?
Right.
Once since 1976. You know, the interesting thing to me is just to see the kids, the way they're taking to this thing, dancing out here on the sidewalks, moving around all over the place. I mean, the excitement, I haven't seen genuine excitement like this since the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you one thing I noticed, and you kind of noticed it with the players up there. Let's face it, most of these players are not from Cincinnati, Ohio. They're professional ball players. They happen to be contracted by a private firm here to play baseball. But as the season wore on, and as they started to get into the playoffs in the World Series, these guys now are feeling a real attachment to the community of Cincinnati. There's a transformation that we have seen just in covering them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, people have brought their families up on the square up here, the babies, and everybody was excited about sharing it with their family. I saw Dibble raise his child over on his shoulders right after he made the announcement of what they kicked out in Oakland, but he raised him on the shoulder, and they're all very much family-oriented, and Cincinnati is a very family city. So it kind of rubs off once they got here.
Greg, you've been covering baseball longer than any of us have. The Reds, the second half of the season, let's be honest, they were playing 500 ball, maybe even a little below it. All of a sudden, they go in the playoffs in the World Series, and it's like no one in the world can beat them. What happened?
One of the old sayings in baseball is you don't win a pennant in April, you don't win it in May. But this team proved differently. That first half was so glorious that nobody could catch it. No one could catch them at all. And I don't think really, when you stop and think about it, yes, against the Pirates, they did step it up a notch, and they played a notch higher. And in the World Series, still another notch. So the interesting thing about it is we haven't seen what this team can do yet. And I forget exactly who said that from the podium. But Sam Palazzi said, we haven't seen anything yet. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is going to be one of the great teams in history.
Well, they're certainly young enough.
Right, and we were talking earlier about how Eric Davis may not have been here physically, but he's been here in spirit. If you would like to write to Eric Davis, send him a goodwill notice or a card or something like that. This is the address. It's on your screen. I cannot see it. I'm sure at home you can see it.
It's Merritt. It's Merritt Hospital.
Webster
Hawthorne and Webster Street. That's Merritt, Oakland, California, 94609.
So we're hearing it as you're hearing it.
Okay, that's Merritt Hospital on
Oakland, California.
In Oakland, California, Hawthorne Street.
Right, and send him a card. He's going to be there anywhere from 3 to 7 days with the kidney injury that he got in the last game of the World Series.
Okay, we're going to talk to some fans. Well, we're going to try to step up here. Somebody step up here. Okay. We're going to try and talk to some fans.
Yes, sir. What do you need?
What's your name?
Bob Draymond from Berlanger.
And who's the best team in baseball?
Oakland was.
All right. Okay, what's your name?
Greg Rampleman from Cincinnati.
Yes, well, we hope everything works out for you. Wearing a red jersey. Okay. Well, what's the point?
There you see a red broom. You see red everywhere. Seeing people.
They're holding brooms, signs. This is apparently a wonderful excuse to be absolutely insane.
We always take those kinds of excuses ourselves, and we're just right in the middle of this right now.
Let's say, who's first? This is your first World Series. What's your name? What's your name?
Kevin Gautron.
Did you go to any of the games?
Oh, yeah. We went to the playoffs. Got the last one. We had tickets for the 6th game, but thank God.
Well, you could have been there. Are your kids old enough to get into it yet?
Yeah, they are. The other ones are in school. They couldn't come.
Do you remember the series of 75 and 76?
Sure.
Is this more exciting?
Yeah, a lot more exciting.
Great. Okay. Hey, look at the crowd here.
The crowd is absolutely crazy here. Dressed up for Halloween and dressed up for the Reds all at the same time. So what are we going to do next year?
the reason you have an interview is to try and find something out. But what in the world are we going to find out that you don't already know? These are Cincinnatians who have lived their whole lives waiting for world championships. They are absolutely ecstatic. Half of them ought to be someplace else, either in school or in work. How many, time out, how many of you should be in school right now? Well, there goes your tax dollars for education.
Well, what is exciting is they're all a part of history. And they also like Jerry's commentary, so it can't be all bad.
Okay, I want to talk to this fella here. You.
Yeah, I've been coming to ball games for the last 25 years, and I think Cincinnati's got the best baseball team ever.
Is this team as good as the Big Red Machine of the 70s?
Yes!
Okay.
I'll tell you what, the weather has not exactly been perfect. Well, okay, it's been really awful, but it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
I don't know if this microphone works or not. Yeah, okay.
Who's going?
Pat, you remember the 75-76 team. What's the difference?
Well, I was younger then, but they were expected to win. And after the 75 team beat the Red Sox, I think it was a foregone conclusion that we'd do well against the Yankees. Some of us thought so. I remember the mayor at that time in Cincinnati was rooting for the Yankees in 1976. Have you brought that up?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, well, in 1976, he rooted against the Reds and rooted for the Yankees. And look what happened to him.
He has seen the errors of his ways.
I just want to bring that up, Jerry.
Good luck in your next job.
But seriously, it was exciting because they were underdogs. And anytime it's an underdog situation.
Okay, what about the weather?
Okay, real quick, let me just show you a satellite picture. Right now, 52 degrees. It's been raining. We've had about a half. Game tonight. It's doing the same thing in Pittsburgh. In Cleveland. It's going to be very muddy, so you may not be able to tell who's who without because they're going to have mud on their uniform. It's going to be drizzly, and it's going to be a damp day up there tonight too.
In Cleveland, they do have the mud.
Yeah. But this isn't Cleveland. This is Cincinnati.
Who said that? Okay. How long it's been since they had a champion, huh? Okay, we're going to take a break now, and then we'll be coming back to Fountain Square to watch thousands of crazy people crazy about the Reds.
You know, there was a couple of posters we saw out here as we came in. One person that was absent this year from the World Series was Pete Rose, and it was instrumental in putting the team together. For the years that he was manager, as a player manager, we saw a couple of, free Pete Rose things. People were chanting free Pete Rose, and a lot of people have been talking about Pete Rose now that we've won the World Series.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is because Pete Rose taught this team how to win. When he came back here in 1984, you all know it. This team was dead. They were flat. The only thing that was here was Dave Parker, and not that many fans were going out to the ballpark. He came back. He taught these young guys how to win. Unfortunately, he wasn't there to see the fruits of his work, and it's very sad.
Yeah.
But he probably saw it now, and he's feeling, this has got to give him some good feeling, because deep down he knows he's a part of this, and the players know that too.
And we haven't heard from him because he is definitely asked that the media not be a part of his experience of what he's going through, and I guess we can all understand that he wants to be more private into this situation right now.
Okay, well, the inspiration comes not only from the fans for this great team, and not only from the memories of years past, but also from some music which was put together. We played it all along this last month. Let's hear it one more time. You can't touch this.
You can't touch this.
Well, right now the fans are cheering anything.
Yeah, no, you know what they're cheering? They're cheering Sting, Jerry. So I'm not sure we want, because we just heard the hammer time. But right now we're going to go out to George Vogel. He's got the first of him. George, what's the deal?
Thank you, Norma. Actually, we have the real Norma right here. Norma from Western Hills. You ducked out of school today for this, right?
Yeah!
And you don't care if anybody knows.
No, because I love Joe Oliver!
Jody, what'd you think when Rob Dibble said what he said?
Oh, it's Charles. I stayed on to see Chris Taylor, though.
Hey, you never know who you're going to run into. I ran into the men in my wedding from Georgetown, Ohio, David Berry. I understand you had a rough time getting here.
Yeah, George, I got this morning, cows were out, had to run cows back in. And hurry up, get up here and watch us have a good time down here, George. Have a good time.
All right, hey, and you had time to make that necklace still.
Something Oakland say bye-bye with.
Okay, thank you very much. As you can tell, it's still crazy down here. Back to the people where it might be a little calmer.
I don't think anything's any calmer. It is crazy. It is fun. We look forward to this for I don't know how many years, and I'm so glad it's here.
And the fans aren't leaving. I see a little kid over there. He says he's been here since 9 o'clock in this morning. Another fella comes in from New Jersey, Luken, hometown. And look, we might as well take it all in. This is like New Year, Times Square on New Year's Eve.
Exactly.
The war is over or something.
It is over. We won Cincinnati, Ohio, the world champions. Not just the best in America, the best in the world, and we live here. This is our home, and we're number one.
Starts again in April, too.
In February, the pitchers report. 4 months. Get down there. Play ball.
Yeah, Jerry's getting a little ahead of himself here, but we got to savor this moment because this was the kind of team that at the beginning of the season they said it's not going to last. It's not going to last, but it lasted, and it lasted wire to wire.
They have not spent a moment of this year out of first place. It's one thing to come from behind. It's even tougher to stay on top. They are on top. You're on top. This is our town. Congratulations, world champions. Back to the studio.